communication styles that really makes it difficult for couples to talk it out, to work it out, to problem solve, and to handle different views of conflict or complaining is when one partner always gets defensive. There are those partners who will many times say, you're so mean to me, or why do you always blame me, or why are you attacking me? But they do that, secondly, to getting defensive. They close the wall, they close the gate. They basically curl into a ball. And because they get defensive, they start whipping out things that you should do. They may say, well, you did that, or you're trying to blame me and it's your fault, and on, which only contributes to adding to the problem, making it more likely the two of you are going to argue and get in a fight. And basically what it does the worst job on is being able to trust your partner with the truth. So what happens is, in these relationships, part of the reason they don't fight, if they don't fight, is they're no longer being honest. They're no longer being sincere with each other. They've learned to walk on eggshells around this person, kind of pamper them. Because let's face it, if you want to work something out and your partner is defensive right out of the gate, you're probably not going to be able to work it out. Now, why does your partner get defensive? Or why do they withdraw? Or why do they just totally shut down? They do these things because as children, they never learned how to cope with what they're feeling. And also, it's partly their temperament. Kids who are born with a particular temperament of not being able to be normal, of not being able to have faults, of not being able to tolerate any criticism, are more likely to grow into defensive adults. But there's other things too. The other things are people that grow up with parents who get angry easy, who criticize, who blame, or siblings who point to blame, who are competitive. Those people will have more of a tendency to get defensive when they're talking things out. And it's not only with their intimate partner, it's at work too. They don't tolerate criticism well. And part of doing a good job, part of being a leader of any kind in a family or in a job, is being able to be, open to criticism, not being defensive. It's as if these people never got tough skin, or tough enough skin that they can understand they're normal. They're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. And so when other people criticize them, they take it to heart and their ego says attack, counterattack. And unfortunately, I see a lot of that with their partner, with their spouse in marriage, which is a big problem in marriage. And the reason it's a big problem is because it shuts down truth and it shuts down trust. And more than anything, the partner who wants to problem solve, who wants to discuss things, who wants to get into the middle of it and really work something out, they feel like they can't because their partner's all defensive, all angry, usually shouting insults or blame, or totally stonewalling, just refusing to even talk about it. So what do? Well, the first thing, if you're the partner who's trying to work with a defensive partner, the first thing you need to do is you need to find a way to talk about the issues without blaming them. You have to try and kind of use your words. So you say, this is the problem. This is the problem. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know how we got here, but I need your help in working it out. And secondly, when you're in the middle of an argument, I think it's good if you ask your partner how they are feeling. How do they prefer to hear this? Are the criticisms too much for them? Is there another way you can identify the problem with them being able to help you solve it instead of shut down, feeling defensive, getting angry, and starting to blame you? A lot of times what happens is when couples do that, when they act defensively, they go into childlike mode where they had no choice. The parents were that way. And because the parents were that way, the whole family milieu was basically together on finding who was to blame, blaming that person, then criticizing that person, ridiculing that person until that person basically crumped. And they don't want that to happen again. They're an adult now. And you don't want that to happen because that's not going to help the communication in your relationship. So when you ask them how they prefer to get this information, it's going to help lift that. So now they have a choice. Now they have some control. And lastly, understand that the message you're giving them may be kind words, but your body language is off. If you're rolling your eyes, or you have your hands across your chest, or you go at it in a way that is at all threatening to someone who is defensive, they will pick up on that because they're very sensitive to it. And it may be what's hurting your delivery, what's actually triggering their defensiveness. Now, if you're the defensive person, what I need you to do is, first of all, you have to learn to own this. If this is a problem on your end, you have to be responsible enough to own it. And you have to say that, you know what? I see this issue. It is my responsibility, and you're right. With this part, I failed. It helps if you can also, in your mind, think of the areas you did not fail and remind yourself of that. But it's not appropriate to bring that up to your spouse all the time. It looks a little bit immature, looks a little bit like you need too much praise. Secondly, practice self-soothing. When you start feeling yourself getting angry or feeling insulted or blamed, do some things that you know are going to help you. Breathe. Ask your partner if you can take a time out. Tell your partner, I just need some time to be alone, to rethink this, and then I want to help you with this. Do the other things that make you feel calm. Meditate, breathing slowly, maybe just sitting down and quieting your mind is what you need to do. And lastly, look for a grain of truth in what your partner is saying that is true, and you're going to need to address it. And then after that, think to yourself realistically that your partner's not saying that all of you is broken, all of you is flawed. It's this one little area, one little problem, and work on fixing that. The two of you can work this out. This isn't a reason to end a relationship, but it certainly is a reason to change what you're doing for better communication and more trust in the relationship. If this video is helpful for you, please subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much.